Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Strength Students Podcast. I'm your co-host, Steve Carty.
And I'm the other guy, Nick Scopoletti.
And we're here at legendary CrossFit Milford with Coach Jay Leydon. How you doing today?
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. I'm super excited to be on the show.
Yeah, we finally made it. We made it. We were going through all the people you've trained, and we're trying to knock them down,
make our way up the list.
I know. I was scrolling back through our Instagram talking, and it was like, I feel like we've been trying to set this up for the longest time.
Yeah.
I've just
finally
been,
here, man.
Hounding people. I'm like, yo, tell Jay. You talk to Jay? Like telling Siobhan, like, yo, what's up?
Tell Jay what's up, dude. And we're live, man. We're live streaming on Netflix right now, and Hulu.
Yeah.
And Grindr.
So So Jay, talk about kind of your history, like how you got started into CrossFit. I think would be a good start. You know you were kind of like the beginning, like when CrossFit first started. So talk about that, how you got into it.
Yeah, I guess I'll backtrack really far. And so I went to college for phys ed and health. I played basketball overseas. And when my college career got done, I was at the pinnacle where I was trying to make a decision if I wanted to go to Ohio State and become get a master's in strength and conditioning and then try to kind of walk on the strength coach out there, or if I want to try to pursue basketball. So I chose the other one, and I tried to pursue basketball. So I went, I got a couple of agencies, and I made it out there. Then I ended up putting my foot underneath a lawnmower, which ended my career.
I heard that story on Barbell Shrugged.
Yeah. So I didn't know that when I did that, I didn't know they were filming it. So we were actually eating lunch at Power Monkey, and I was telling the story, and I look over, and I CPT had his camera rolling or something, and I was like, I guess this is on film right now. So that ended that, and from there, it's kind of like this transition period of my life. I didn't meet my wife yet, and so I was just searching for something because my whole life revolved around basketball and training for basketball. And, that is all I did. I never had girlfriends. I think I had one coach who was like, if you want to ruin your athletic career, get a girlfriend. And I was like, well, fuck that. I'm never getting a girlfriend. Right? So I just didn't have one. It just never happened. I was like, all right, I'm just going to shoot free throws, all day. That's what I did.
Have you seen Saving Silverman?
I'm the worst with movie quotes and remembering movies.
It's like the head coach with all the high school kids in that movie. He's like, stay away from women.
Yeah, but it's true. I train a wrestler now, right? And he's an all-American wrestler, and he's a stud. And he goes to bed so late, or he's late for training, and every answer is because I'm arguing with my girlfriend. I'm getting a fight with my girlfriend, and I'm like, stay away from girls. But where was I? So that ended, and I was kind of searching for everything. Right? So I was riding motorcycles and doing MMA and kind of all over the place.
You're a bad boy.
Just searching for something to hang on to, right? Because all I did was associate myself as trying to become a basketball player. So at the same point, I was like, well, I don't want to be a personal trainer. I don't want to go to Fitness Edge, or I don't want to go to LA Fitness. I was like, because I want to do my thing. And without CrossFit, there was no opening a gym. It was kind of like you're a strength coach or you're a personal trainer. Kind of like the two routes.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. So finally, I met my wife at a bar. Right? She says we didn't meet at a bar, but we met at a bar.
In Milford? Bar in Milford?
New Haven. Neat.
Oh.
Are you guys old enough to remember Neat?
I used to work at our bar. I was a bouncer back in the day.
At our bar.
If you remember, it was 10, 11 years ago, and I was 50 pounds heavier, so you probably wouldn't recognize me.
You said Neat in New Haven? Or
is it on
Milford?
Crown Street we talking, or is this
Do you know that place? No.
Hey, I am so old right now. So old.
It's okay.
So we met there, and there was a small training studio in Milford, and they were closing down, and they were selling the place and completely robbing me of selling it to me. But I didn't know any better. I was like, all right, fuck it. I was like, Josh, should I do it? And she was like, well, we don't have kids yet. We didn't really have a house or mortgage yet. She's like, you might as well do it, right?
Now's the time.
Yeah. So all right, I'm going to do it. So I just bought my own training studio. And that's kind of how it started. That was in about 2007-ish. And it's 1,500 square feet, and everything is right place, right time. And at that same exact time that I bought it, a bigger gym in Milford closed down. So I was able to kind of get some members from there to come over. So
nice.
It's just kind of the universe aligned to help with the start. And then someone showed me the CrossFit website before I even opened the gym. And, I think it was like, strict press, push jerk, like, 5, 5, 5, 3, 2. I was like, what is this? It's like, all right, like, skip. And then I came back to it when I had the studio, and I started looking through it more. I was like, oh, this seems pretty interesting. And then I spent a lot of time on just the videos, and that was great because you could like geek out on the CrossFit videos when they first had the old site with, Greg Amundsen and Greg Glassman talking, and you had Berger talking. You could go through like all the lifts and everything, just stare at the stuff, and it was great. So me and a couple other guys in this area were like, all right, well, let's drive down to Virginia for a seminar, and we did that. And Greg Glassman was there. Like, that's when it was. So at that seminar,
this was an L1 seminar.
Yeah, L1. It was Sherwood, Glassman. And then the attendees were me, Ben and Heather Bergeron, Ben Kelly, Tanya Wagner. So that was kind of like...
Never heard of any of these
people. Rudy Nielsen, Outlaw.
Shit.
Yeah. So that was kind of like our group,
wow.
right? Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's a hell of a...
It's quite a squad right there, dude.
And then Glassman showed up, and he was talking. And, they only did about like 2 a month then, right? And it was like, oh, man, this is it. So I came back and just changed the gym over to the CrossFit gym. I went from underground strength conditioning to CrossFit Milford. And then we've just been rock and rolling ever since from there. And that's kind of like how we got started. And then I think and what I used to always do back then is I always brought people into the gym, right, to coach and because I just want to learn as much as I could. So I bring in like Brian McKenzie, and I brought in Mark Grippeto and Bergener, and then Louis Simmons went to Hartford, so I didn't have to bring him in. So I went up there, but trying to get as many people to come here as possible just to hear as many people talk, right? And that's kind of like what I just did for like the first 2 years while we continued to try to grow it. And obviously because back then CrossFit was such a close-knit community that that was like the perfect time to get in because you knew everybody. Like I remember like going out to dinner with Rob Wolf. It was like me and Brian McKenzie and like Rob Wolf, and then Glassman would pop in, and then like sure, it was just like you're sitting, like now you look at like holy cow, but back then I was like like that was it, like Wellborn came up here for a football seminar, so it was like me and Wellborn, like and all these guys, and then you get in this constant line of communication with them. Like back then, like the Bergerons and I used to literally travel to each other's gyms like every other weekend with Hobart and just work out together because it was like there weren't a lot, so it's always like I remember every Fridays it started where it'd be like Rob Orlando and the Bergerons and me and Dave Lipson and Sin, and like we used to all just gather here every single Friday and just throw down and get after, right? So I was like this kind of startup in this area, and it was super, super cool back then.
Well, like you were saying, like it seems like just like super right place at the right time. Like everything was kind of new. All those people were kind of new, but you're all like kind of trying to learn from each other.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. It's like the social media in Instagram wasn't that big yet, so everything was still very much underground, and it wasn't like, oh, you can just kind of check that out if someone has a video up here. It was like you had to actually talk to people, and get a lines of communication.
What is that? How do you do
right?
That?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I always joke with like the millennials that in here. I call them millennials. That's how old I am now, I guess. But like, do you guys even really know how to write a fucking letter? Like, but yeah, so that was awesome. So then from there, I got really connected with Brian McKenzie, and I started running a lot of the endurance terms with him. At the same point, at that point, I was also doing a few level ones. So Cash would bring in the level ones.
Oh, okay.
So we were doing that, and then then I became really close with James Fitzgerald, and I was doing all of his stuff. And then from there, we just kind of like segued into our own stuff here. But that's kind of been the shortened journey of where we are now. We transferred from the first gym to where we are now in this bigger spot. And this spot was actually bigger at one point, where I had another facility, and I was like, this is just too much. It's like too spread out, it's too big, I don't like it, so I got rid of that.
Oh, so you downsized?
Yeah, I downsized a little bit, and we've run into some problems where it gets a little busy. And
you got 500 members, right?
About that,
That's a shit ton, yeah.
We got a lot of like training going on now, and more competitors coming through, and kids classes and stuff, so we're trying to make the most of it. We're making another move soon. It's because the landlord wants to kick me out, so I don't want to move. I hate moving because it's like.
Is the landlord a bodybuilder? Is that why?
Yeah, no,
it's like fuck this CrossFit,
well,
man.
We run a swole program in here. I mean,
do you now? I see preacher curls on the board back there. So
we have what's called a swole program. So it's for people who just want to break from CrossFit.
Sounds
want
amazing.
to get swole.
Yeah.
That's all it is, right? So, it's typical bodybuilding. It's buys, tries, preacher curls,
Man,
French presses.
dude, that's not functional, though. It doesn't work,
Shrugs.
Jay.
You're just like people in the corner.
Listen, they want to have a big chest and big arms. That's it. They don't care about running. So that's
Preacher
what they do.
curls, preacher curls for time.
I love it. I love curls.
Yeah.
You gotta love curls, man. We're all born on curls, dude.
Seriously.
Anyone who says otherwise is lying.
Seriously. So that's kind of how we started.
What was so you mentioned like you kind of went to like one of the first L1s, I guess, like when it was first. Like what were L1s like back then?
What year is this?
Awesome.
What year is
2008.
Okay,
So
okay.
yeah, so I think we were like the 6th gym in Connecticut. I think, but probably like 500 altogether, something that along
In
lines,
the,
which
in the
was like a
country
lot
or
then,
in
but
the world?
I think world, because like when I started, like Europe was like non-existent.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, whereas now they're doing like 15 to 20 seminars essentially a weekend.
Yeah.
L1s back then, the content didn't change. And that's one thing that's great is that the content for CrossFit has always been Greg Glassman's word, and they don't change it. They like Greg Glassman might change a few things, or they might adjust a few, but the pure message and meaning of what they're trying to do always stays the same, which is awesome. Like I went to the review of the L1 2 years ago, and I thought it was great. I think you still sit through and learn things. And
So was that like similar to like when you first went to that one?
yeah,
Really?
So when
That's
I first
interesting.
went, until when I was coaching them, until when I went back, it's the same premise, which is just the L1 is the introductory level to CrossFit. Like, what is CrossFit? And that's not gonna change.
Yeah, not much. Yeah.
So how they might go, the workouts are different. The workouts I think are safer now. Like when we went there, it was just Fran and fight going bad. It's like, here you go, Fran and fight going bad. It's like, oh my goodness. But and it's fun. It was just a different feeling because now I think I'm all for the mainstream of it. Like I'm not like, oh, Reebok and CBS Sports, and it's like, no, I think it's awesome because it's just another progression of what we're doing. But back then it was, the games are still held at the ranch. So when we were at the CrossFit Games for 2 years at the ranch, and it's just like a party. Like everything was a party. Like the L1s, like you'd get drunk after the first day, and like that's what you did. It was just like, hey, we're here to make some fitness and to change the fitness world and the scope of fitness and have fun while we do it.
Hell yeah.
And it was just cool. But the message was always the same, but the community's a lot smaller. The amount of people attending were a lot smaller. Kind of knew everybody at that point because there weren't a lot of people doing it. So everyone was kind of talking, and it was underground, and now I think it is a more competitive, obviously, because it's a business. But back then, it wasn't really that. It was more about like having fun and just helping change people's lives and helping change the fitness world, really, right? Yeah. So everyone was talking and communicating, and hanging out, and seeing what's going on, and it was cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So your gym has become obviously super competitive. Like finished at second at the games, I think. How many times? Like a couple times.
2015. Once.
2015 once. I mean, super competitive gym. Has it like when did it start becoming this competitive gym? Where it's like you were manufacturing these like
Always.
high level CrossFitters and team athletes.
Always. Just took time. So we were always in the games. We were at the games first year at the ranch, which was kind of like anybody could go if you buy a plane ticket. But we were still there. And then then the next year when we first introduced, we were there next year, which is still again if you just signed up for the team event. And then the year after that, the third year, the first year went to Carson is when they introduced sectionals, which they did here.
So at one point, the games was like sign-up basis?
First year's games just sign up. Like that was your OPT one. It was just everybody was just like, hey, because they're like, let's hold a comp. It's just like the way you start, let's do a competition. Like, all right, cool, we'll do a competition at Castro's Ranch.
That's amazing.
And it's like, so it was like OPT and Amundsen and all those originals, and they just got down. It was CrossFit Total, it was the hill run, and it was like the row and then shoulder overhead chest bar workout. And it was awesome. And then the second year, again, the same thing. I think there was more, I think the second year, individuals had to try out, and then the third year was kind of tryouts for everybody. And then the year after that, the first year at Carson was the first year the teams could do it with a tryout, which was sectionals was held here. We made it there. We beat Logan Schechter's team, if he's listened to this.
We'll find a way to
get in. Yeah. I'll make sure I tag him.
Yeah.
And then the second year we've had masters or individuals, teams, kind of every single year throughout. I think from our team perspective for getting them to where they were placing second last year and this year, it was just a culmination of 4 years of development of athletes. You know, like that year had Paul and Brendan and Ryan and Katie and Bailey and Kalina. And those are athletes that have been working with me for like 3 years before they even got to that point. You know, some of them were individuals, some of them switched to team. And then same thing last year was Kurt and Chris and Logan and then the girls. And they've been working with me for like 3 or 4 years. And then this year is like Trevor's been with me for 5 years and Nick and Christina. And really Silo is the only one that's kind of really new to us. But it's still just a development of them over time, you know, and I think
they
if you
say it takes a few years to become an overnight success.
Like
people think like, oh, they're just getting good. It's like, well, you've been working at it, you know.
Right, and that's like I think when I was getting interviewed last year and this year, like, well, it's a different team. Like, yeah, but they've been with me for like 5 years, so they know each other. It's not like we're plugging people in from here and there and there. You know, it's like people who've been in here forever. And I think that's what builds foundation and stability for people who want to continually have a presence, is not trying to rush. And you see that. People who will put together like quote-unquote super teams or pull people from here and pull someone from there. And then like, yeah, they have a go at it and they do good, but the next year they're done and they're nowhere around anymore, right? Versus building a team that's constantly there and stable and training hard and there for the long run. So that's what I've always tried to develop, whether it's with our competitors or with our normal gym, is just steady, consistent growth. I never want to have like 200 members right away. I want to slowly build every single month from when we started and try to make sure the system's in place and have the foundation set so we can do everything and be successful and give people their need. And then same thing with the competitors. Make sure that we're continually building that over time so that it is there for the long run. It is there for longevity. It's not like a one-hit wonder with them, you know?
Right, absolutely. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk a little more about some lactic threshold training. Just some misconceptions about like Metcons and things like that. And also we got the games coming up, so we'll talk about that too.
Yeah,
so
and I'm going to check on the kids.
Yeah, go check on the kids.
Go do what you gotta do.
Don't go anywhere.
Want more of the Strength Students podcast? Go check us out on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Also, make sure you leave us a 5-star review on iTunes and on Stitcher. Stitcher, I just met her.
All right, buddy, welcome back. Second half here. Coach Jay Leydon. Is it Jay Leydon or Leydon?
Leydon.
But
people have pronounced it wrong my entire life.
I was going to say, yeah, okay.
I remember sitting in school in like 4th grade for like announcements, and they'd always say Leydon. So I just gave up. I was like, all right, it's Leydon.
You were 10, you're like, that's
it. Like, whatever.
That's enough.
I'm just going to roll this. Leydon, it's my name.
Whatever you want it to be.
It's all good. Yeah.
So, you know, we were kind of talking in the car, especially on the way here. A lot of misconceptions about CrossFit still. It's, you know, all it is a training modal to just bang your head against the wall until you're thrown up and puking all over the place. That's what CrossFit is. So give your thoughts on that. What do you think?
Yeah, it's unfortunately, I think that is the misnomer with the sport, you know, and you don't really see that in any other sport. So, like if you take running, for example, you know, that's like saying, all right, unless you can run a sub 3-hour marathon, you have no business running, right? Or like, all right, if you can't play football unless you're going to be a professional football player. Like they associate just kind of what they see at the games and the concept behind intensity with essentially what CrossFit is, which I think is unfortunate because what CrossFit has done for the scope of fitness is something that nothing has ever been done, right? Ever in the scope of fitness. So CrossFit has brought so much awareness and change to fitness, so much awareness to weightlifting, to powerlifting, to gymnastics. Like these guys doing these seminars who aren't CrossFitters, like had nobody at the seminars. They didn't even have a seminar. No one knew who they were, right? And it's like now because of CrossFit, they're making 6 figures. Some of them are like millionaires now, right? And it's like because of CrossFit. What CrossFit has done for fitness and for the health industry is groundbreaking. And I don't think anything will be able to tap what CrossFit has done. And I think it's unfortunate that many people have this stigma with CrossFit that it's about kind of like putting your head into the wall and bleedy, because people like to post that and everything's about social media and what people want you to believe that they throw on social media.
Sure.
It's like this great book. It's called Let Me Lie to You. It's a marketing book, right? So anybody's interested in marketing, they should get it. it's probably the wrong title, but it's about how everything.
Let me ride you.
That's another book.
Jay, this is a family show, dude.
Yeah, Let Me Lie to You.
Oh, let me lie to you.
Yeah,
I thought you said let me ride you. I was like, that's
yeah, no, that's another marketing book. Let Me Ride You. You should totally look into it. Pornhub. But yeah, CrossFit has. So the true essence of CrossFit is fitness, and the true essence of CrossFit is health, and it's being a better you. And that's like what we tell people here is that it doesn't matter how fit you are. I don't care how strong you are. I don't care how fit you are. I don't care what your background in fitness is. Like, that means absolutely nothing to me. What I want to see is just your ability to come here every single day and just get a little bit better. I don't care if that means you're doing trap 3 raises and calf raises, until you can balance on one foot and raise your arm overhead properly. Or if you're able to do snatches and muscle ups, cool, right? But we're just going to keep striving for whatever your level is just to be a little bit better. And unfortunately, I think because it's so easy to open a gym, yeah, you will have some people open a gym who might not be in the right spot or know, the pedigree behind strength and conditioning and stress protocols and etc. But let's face it, like out of everybody who owns a gym, when you first opened up a gym, how many people knew all that? Like nobody.
Right.
I didn't know what I was doing. Right. So they come with experience, but so you just have to err on the side of caution, right? But I think the essence in what we're trying to do with CrossFit is just make people better, make people fitter, make people be able to live a longer, healthier life. I think someone came in the other day, old guys like in his 70s, got a bunch of problems, talking about like he's a little intimidated, and it was like, listen, but like I don't care, like I just want you to be able to live your life. Like,
right.
I don't want you to ever put a bar over your head. I might not even want you to ever touch a bar. I just want you to be able to come in here and do what you need to do to live a better life. And that means like playing with your grandkids, being able to put the milk in the refrigerator, like whatever that means for you, right, is what we want to get you to do, right? And I think that's what people got to understand is what the essence of CrossFit is.
Like define your fitness in CrossFit. Don't let CrossFit define.
Yeah,
for
don't
you.
let what you see on ESPN or the games think that that's CrossFit, because that's not. That's like an NFL game versus like playing, just running outside and throwing catch with your son, right? It's like,
they're on a whole. The
Yeah.
athletes, they're athletes. They're on a different level, and that's I think that's across all sports. Like everyone always talks about Westside Barbell. They're one of the best powerlifting gyms in the world. You don't think they broke people before? Like their training's tough. It's hard, but like that's what they're athletes. They're at the highest level. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, and it's like, I mean, not to beat a dead horse, but it's like saying, all right, I can't play football with my son because, comparing to like playing in NFL. It's like two completely different things. Like CrossFit in a gym is about like, going outside and playing with your kids, and CrossFit Games is about being the best of the best, right? They're not there.
When it's game time, it's game time.
Yeah.
It's completely different than like I just want to live a happy, normal life and be able to get up out of a chair and not have back pain.
Yeah, and
very different goals.
And I do think that some people have to be aware of kind of like what happens with inside the gym, as far as it, because some people do try to have like a beat down, right? It's like, oh, like if you're not leaving here feeling beat up and crushed, then it's not a workout, which is false. Like when we mentor other gyms and coaches, like people should be leaving the gym feeling better than when they walked in, right? Yeah, it's like sometimes you want to get a sweat and a good workout in and do some stuff, but that's not what you should be doing every single day, right? Because at that point you're not going to have any members, because everyone's going to be so stressed out and overworked and crushed that they're never going to come back.
Right.
So knowing kind of, and then as you grow and develop, understanding, okay, like, doing a wall ball is still putting your arms overhead, so you still have to count that if you're doing like, scapular upward rotation and how many pull-ups you're doing and how many times you're snatching, et cetera. You have to still look at all that stuff and make sure that you're coupling things appropriately with the days, whether it's the preceding or the following day, and making sure that you're doing what's in the best interest for people, and not just trying to have people come in and be like, oh, wow, this is going to suck or this crushed me. No, it's like we're trying to make you fitter and healthier and stronger, and there's a process for that.
It's tough to sustain that for a long period of time too,
Yeah, it's like we say it all the time. It's like so it's allostasis. And when I talk to gym members about this, like you have these guys that come in and they're crushing it on a daily basis, and they're here all day and they're fired up and they're training hard and they're doing all this stuff. And then like 2 months they're gone.
Yeah.
And it's like, and you're like, well, where'd they go? It's like, well, they're crushed, and their body put them into some sort of response, whether it's injury or whether it's overtraining or overreaching, and they hate it and they don't want to do anything because their body just needs to survive, because they're so like just overworked and beat down, and the cortisol shot, and their adrenals are fired up, right? So when you look at training and training people, you have to think about, all right, well, on average, like if I'm taking this gym and everybody in here, I have to think on average, who is my average member? Like, what's their sleep like? What's their work schedule like? What's their day like? Are they already coming in here like malnourished and stressed out and not hydrated well enough? It's like, all right, well, then what am I having them doing here?
Right.
And are they doing like the same repetitive beatdown every single day? Because that, coupled with life, is going to give them a permanent just beatdown, right? So you have this internal bank account inside your athletes, and it's generally your general physical preparedness. But it's something like Bobby Maximus from Jim Jones talks about a lot, and everyone talks about this, and everyone has their own version of it. But essentially, you have this bank account inside your body, and every time you train, you're going to pull from it, right? Because you need adaptation. Adaptation occurs through stress. However, everything else in life pulls from this bank account. So sleep, hydration, nutrition, life, financials, argument with your spouses, like whatever it might be, is going to pull from that. So if you're already coming into the gym with this depleted bank account, and then you try to apply like a 5x5 back squat at 80%, coupled with the muscle ups and everything else, and then, and we do a Metcon, like your body's like, dude, I'm done. Yeah, it's over. I got
stress
nothing.
is stress.
I have
is
nothing.
stress.
Yeah, like your body doesn't dictate between getting punched in the face or lifting a barbell. It's stress is stress. So you got to know how to apply that to members on a whole. And once you can kind of get that figured out and develop that rhythm for yourself and your members and your athletes, then you're going to start creating a lot more longevity in both areas.
Yeah, and kind of going back to what CrossFit has done for a lot of strength sports. If you look at like USAW, right? I mean, they were in the tank before CrossFit. Like they were almost gone.
Right.
Like, membership was in like I think not even the hundreds, and then CrossFit comes along, and now USAW is rolling. So it's like introducing to people to multiple, multiple avenues as far as strength, in these different strength sports.
Even Ninja Warrior.
Shit.
It's like everything. It's like
Powerlifting.
Like how many people are at powerlifting meets? How many people want to watch a powerlifting meet?
Yeah, powerlifting meets are nuts now.
Like USAW meets, like how many people are there? Like now there's like it's overflow. They're thinking about reworking the standards just because there's too many people qualifying, right? It's like how many people are at the seminars? Like how many people are doing these online programming templates? Like nobody. It was Men's Health. Like, what's Derek Jeter doing in the off season? Cool. Let me get that routine up this summer and see what happens. So that's what people got to keep in mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
A jump rope clinic. Who was going to a jump rope clinic before CrossFit?
Not many people.
Right?
I didn't even know those existed until you said that right now.
How many people?
That's a real thing.
Yeah. How many people are like swimming? And focusing on like running technique and rowing. It's like. The breadth of what is created in businesses and fitness and health is just incomprehensible if you really think about it.
Yeah, it is. So talk a little about you're kind of known for your as far as like programming, like lactic threshold training, like endurance type training, and kind of approaching that from a unique way. Talk a little bit about that.
Is that your child?
one of them over there. So. I think that stemmed from just asking the question why, and meaning curiosity is one of the greatest things for change and development. And the more curious you are about different avenues, the better you can develop and just expand yourself. And there's so much stuff out there with weight training. So we know, like, all right, you got to create adaptation. You're going to do it through common resistance. You can do it through speed. You can do it through like 5-3-1. Concurrent method, basic linear periodization, undulating, whatever it might be, everything comes down to the basic principle of adaptation and applying the right amount of adaptation to create a response. And that's how you're going to get stronger, right? Minimal sense of strain. Like you can read forever on anything out there. But then in the sport of mixed modality, CrossFit, it's like, well, how do you apply adaptation for that? What does that look like?
Yeah.
And I think that's when we started going down that route, because if you take cyclists or runners, rowers, etc., and you look at the elite of the elite, they always train with specifics, right? So they know, okay, if I want to create this sort of change, I got to have my heart rate here because I got to operate in the threshold, because I got to increase my threshold. Because if you compare apples and apples, yeah, you have the VO2, which is kind of like what your grandparents can give you. It's like a vertical jump, right? So I'm not going to take somebody with a 28-inch vert and get them to jump 40 inches in the air. Same thing. I'm not going to take someone with a VO2 of 40 and all of a sudden get them a 74, get them up to Lance Armstrong. It's not going to happen. But what you can do is increase the threshold. So it doesn't. Even if someone has a bigger VO2 but they have a low threshold, they're going to burn out super easy. Everything comes down to how high you can operate in the threshold, because that means you can operate at a higher intensity for longer, right? It's plain and simple.
Yeah.
And that's the name of the game. But so as I kept asking the question, well, why and how? It came down to, well, how can you do this in CrossFit? How can you do this with putting a barbell in your hands doing gymnastics, right? Because it's never been done before. It's like, high rep volume with barbells is Satan, and stay away from it, right? It's like it's the worst thing ever. And high rep volume gymnastics with a barbell, it's like, oh my goodness, that's just like, God forbid.
Don't even touch it.
Yeah, however, that's CrossFit. So it's got to be, we got to learn how to do it. And we got to learn how to operate at a specific heart rate to increase your threshold there, because having the mechanical efficiency is great, and you learn your technique and you learn how to move a barbell correctly.
Dude, get him on here. Let's go.
He's carrying kettlebells everywhere. But then, sorry, maybe this can't.
You could. It's all
He's
right.
throwing
Dad.
kettlebells on the true form right now.
On the true form running right now.
So there's different levels of strength. I know I'm kind of like circling about bringing it back together, right?
Yeah.
So you have your reactive strength, and you have your absolute strength, you have your speed strength, you have your local muscular endurance, you have your power, and you have all these different facets, right? So it's like, well, how can we build proper muscular endurance in a mixed modality standpoint? So how can we build that? And then with athletes knowing, all right, well, is it their lower body push versus pull, which is weaker, and upper body push versus pull that's weaker? So we started diving into that a lot more, and where do people fatigue more? What are the fatigue factors more? And we found it, and we found movements that kind of fatigue people faster than other movements. It's like, well, now how do we train it? So we basically just went back and looked at the same thing that you do if you're running or rowing. It's like, well, how do you train to operate faster at this, right? And it's like, well, threshold training, lactate threshold training. Like, well, let's start applying that now to CrossFit, right, and see how it goes. So I think in the scope of training, I think it's super relatively new, because it's just lactate threshold training from a CrossFit perspective, right? But I think in the grand scheme of things, it's something that's always been around. It's just applying it to a different sport, to different modalities.
You just kind of taken it and applied it to CrossFit and brought it into the world of CrossFit.
Yeah, and all I do is take it from other people, right? Because
well, that's how you do it.
That's all anything.
No one's inventing anything new, right? It's like everybody's just kind of taking different variations, and they might put like a new name to it or a new twist to it, but it's all the same thing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So it's all the same thing. It's just mixed modalities, operating at a specific heart rate.
Right.
We'll take a quick break. Either we're going to come back or we're not. So we're either coming back or this is the end.
Let's come back.
We'll come back.
We'll come back.
All right.
Quick break. Be right
Okay.
back. Dad break.
Want more of the Strength Students podcast? Go check us out on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Also, make sure you leave us a 5-star review on iTunes and on Stitcher. Stitcher, I just met her.
All right, guys, welcome back. We're part 3 here. Strength Students podcast. We're Coach Jay Leydon, American.
Coach, father.
Stop calling him Leydon.
Leydon.
Leydon?
So, pretty big event coming up next week.
Somewhat, yeah. Some would say that.
Somewhat.
Kind of.
Yeah.
The 2017 CrossFit Games, which not in California this year.
Right.
How are you feeling about that?
Closer to home.
Yeah.
Yeah,
a little
right?
closer to
a little
home.
closer.
I think it'd be cool. I'm definitely gonna miss the boardwalks at California, like the
definitely.
beach and the water and all that stuff's cool. But I think Madison's gonna be awesome. I think it just adds something else that they could add to the games. They can add more stuff to it, and it is what it is. It's CrossFit. Like it's the unknown, unknowable. So I think it goes with it. It's like,
Yeah, it's
all right,
literally
whatever.
like, hey, we're gonna be in Wisconsin this year.
All right, there we
I
go.
guess we're going to
Mad
Wisconsin.
cheese, yo.
Yeah.
Mad
Cheese.
cheese.
So what do you think about the switch up? Do you think there's going to be any like curveballs thrown in? You guys are going to be like rock climbing? Like what's going on?
I don't know.
Milking
because
cows
You're
for
like,
time.
yeah. You're like, all right, they're not going to do anything that could cause danger. But then like, wait. Yes, they could.
You don't know that though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like they have in the past. Yeah, so I'm super excited to see what they do. Like, I think that's my biggest thing is trying to figure out the format, because you knew in California the format where it went teams and masters, and then it went like teams and individuals. But it's like now everyone's going at once. So we have like 10 or 11 people out there, and it's like, all right, well, how is it going to be positioned? Like, who's going when? Am I just going to be running around like a chicken with my head cut off? Like, everyone's at once, and like all of a sudden I'm just be like, all right, I quit. Just, like, put my bags down, grab some cheese, and be
Going
like,
home.
listen, you guys have been doing this long enough. You know what to do. Just go make some fucking fitness. Like, go work out. I don't know. But I'm more interested to see the format and to see the flow of everything and just kind of get an idea of how they're going to run it and see what workouts they're going to do. I think having the lake there is cool because I hate sharks, so I think the lake's awesome. I think the idea of having the bike there and the triathlons, and I think it's going to be great.
You never know with Castro, man. He might throw some sharks in that fucking lake.
You might say, hey, here you go.
Yeah.
Here's a freshwater shark. Shark. Yeah. Yeah.
What number games is this for CrossFit Milford?
As a team, as our team, the third. As a gym as a whole, we've been there for the past 9 years.
Okay, cool.
Between individuals or masters or teams or et cetera.
So what does the 2017 team look like or have that maybe some past teams haven't, or is it different at all?
He's trying not to hurt anyone's feelings.
Right.
I know exactly that look. You know what? I know. Drew Accomando, he sucks. I get it. Like, he's the worst. He's not even good looking.
Yeah, so,
no one likes
so
him.
this year we don't have Drew Accomando. And I think that's the
Thank
biggest.
God.
Poor soul.
So I think every team takes on their own persona. And I think this team has really good communication. And this team has, like, really good grit, you know. And I think every team kind of has, like, their own thing. Like, last year's team was super powerful and strong. The games just didn't really favor that, you know, with the way they're structured. The team before that took second, they were just super well-rounded as a whole, right? So every team has their own kind of thing that can set them apart. And depending on how the workouts are put out and what they are, can dictate if the team's strengths will show. So super interested to see what happens this year. I think they're in a great position. Everyone's healthy. Everyone's strong. Everyone's feeling good right now. So the objective for me is just to, like, make sure they don't overtrain and do, because I think that's, like, you're so used to doing, like, such high volume in CrossFit. It's like, all right, when it's time to taper, they're like, oh, well, I got to do this and do that. It's like,
oh, God, we're going to go weaker. Oh, my God.
Yeah, it's like,
We talked about that yesterday.
You want to go into that bitch healthy.
Yeah,
and
like
fresh.
everything. It's like you tell them every single day. Like everything now is about recovery and how well you can build that bank account and how well you can build your body's ability to, on the third and fourth day, like, feel good and call upon your systems that you need and not just be kind of like depleted and crushed, right? So that's kind of like the focus.
Well, it's like for basketball, right? What were your practices like in the off season versus during the season, right?
Terrible.
Like off season was worse.
Dude, you just got, like, those Vietnam eyes and then you have flashbacks.
I think because I think about that all the fucking time, and I'm like, I was in season getting crushed, like doing suicides like 45 minutes because I missed a fucking free throw. Like, I'm like, coach, I got
It's like old school, like Bobby Knight shit.
It's like I got a game in 2 days. They're like, we're gonna make it harder than the game. I'm like, but I won't be recovered. So,
I'm gonna feel terrible.
Yeah, I feel like back then it was like still the old school method of just fucking crushing you. I think about that all the time. Like, man, like, I wonder if I could have been better if they like tapered us in the season and practice, you know? But
probably.
But yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. Like, the conditioning was definitely a lot less during the season. But yeah, it's like getting athletes to not overtrain, you know? And that's like what Charlie Francis used to say. So probably one of the greatest strength coaches ever, right? He just had a bad rep with Ben Johnson, but who doesn't use PEDs at high level? But
that's a whole other topic.
But
I know
he
exactly
was like,
what you're saying.
He was like, it's like 90-10, right? So 90% of his time with his lead athletes was getting to not overtrain versus training, right?
Right.
So it's just kind of managing that. Like right now, you know, these guys, they're doing like active life stuff, but it's like, it's good because they're recovering, they're getting better, but I got to make sure they're not doing like too much other stuff on top of that. Oh, this feels good, so let me try this, or let me mess around with that. It's like, just get out of the gym.
Yeah.
How do you usually manage that with your athletes? Like, do you ever come in and like someone's doing like max rep snatch with like muscle ups, and you're like, "What are you doing, man? We're going to the games next week."
It depends on the athlete, and it depends on their baseline GPP, and it depends on how well they're structured. So, like, if I came in here and I saw Trevor going heavy on snatches and muscle ups, I'd probably let it go because he can do that. He's fine and he's not going to hurt himself. Versus if I saw like Siobhan and Christine doing that, that might offset their central nervous system too much because they're not used to that. They don't have the training age that like him or Nick have. So if I feel like someone's doing something they shouldn't be doing based off how they're structured genetically as an athlete, how old their training age is, what their experience is, and yeah, it's like, stop.
Right.
You know, it's like, and I try to operate a lot in here. I'm always growing myself with like reflection and thinking about how I can become a better coach. And right now I'm on this thing like, all right, well, they can't adapt to me. I always have to adapt to them, right? And I always have to And I think that's one of the hardest things to do, because you have like all these thoughts and ideas and concepts, but some athletes who have been training for a really long time know their bodies better than the way you know them. So they might have a feeling of kind of what they need to do. So, so it's understanding which athletes you can just sit back and listen to more and guide and be more like a roadmap for them, versus which athletes you have to be more a dictator with, right? So understanding that balance between those. So like I said, with some athletes, it's just like, black and white. With others, it's more gray area depending on the formalities of who they are.
Gotcha. And so how do things change for you as a coach with your athletes, like during the games? Like give us kind of like a picture of what the things you do, like how you're talking to your athletes, the things you're doing to prepare your athletes, like at the actual game.
At the games.
At the games. Before the games, at the games.
At the games, no matter what they do, they look good. So if they could hit the ugliest lift in the world, I'm like, that looks great. We're gonna kill it, right? It's like I see their, everything at the games is just like not over coaching. Like they're fit, they're coached, they know what to do. It's like, all right, here are the game plans. It's lots of review. Okay, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing at this point? What are you doing at that point? All right, cool. You look great. You feel great. All right, go home, get rest, get sleep, eat. Did you guys eat yet? Drink water. Where's your water? Go to the bath. It's like that's literally like how I am at the games, right?
Giant field trip with
kids.
Yeah.
It's like
it's like being a parent.
I'm not gonna watch them in the back and be like, all right, stay with the bar more. I need you to hit that finish harder and snap under the bar quicker. It's like they're like, what the fuck?
Training's over, man.
Yeah, it's like I don't want them thinking about anything. I just want them being on autopilot and be like, all right, I feel good. Let's do this. Just being like a cage lion. Like then it's like, boom, I open the cage, go kill, get back in the cage until the next killing, right? So that's a lot of kind of like my mindset for coaching for them. And some of them too, it's also just managing their fears and their frustration. Just being like, it's okay, like have fun, just relax. It's like, so when I was an athlete, I was a very emotional athlete. I was super emotional. And when I first started coaching, I was also a very emotional coach. And I've learned that my emotions dictate their emotions. So if they look up and they see me like so inside at any competition, regionals or games, like if you see me at regionals, like if you see me at regionals, like I'm behind the curtain just fucking pacing, like my heart rate's at like 155, and I'm just fucking, and I'm trying so hard not to show it, but I get so jazzed up. So it's also me not showing them how emotional I am, and just kind of like letting them stay relaxed and calm. So that's a lot of the way I kind of coach people at the games or any competition. It's like keeping them as calm as possible, making sure they're doing everything they need to do to feel good and feel recovered, whether it's to like make sure they can have hydration or electrolytes, food, sleep, recovery, etc. Kind of like I like put your no phones after 8 o'clock, like all the little things like that. It's like we do lots of like game planning of everybody does it, so no one's the one person who coins it, but making sure they understand what they can and can't control, how the workout's going to flow, kind of focusing on what they need to focus on. Like, all that is already done. Like, me doing that and sitting down and reviewing that there, it's like not going to do anything. Like, that's trained throughout the year, just like anything else they do, Yeah.
And I understand you're big with visualization as well, right? Like, I think, like, Drew's showed me a text that you've, like, sent to him, like, for regionals or the games, and it's very, like, poetic and very, like, visual-based. So
I used to be
mental aspect as well.
Yeah, I used to be like that with basketball, and so we used to always train that in basketball with the visualization and being the right mindset and just controlling that. Especially like if we were in an NCAA tournament, and my first year in the stands, and I didn't really have that as an athlete, and it really like got the best of me. And I had some really good teachers at my first college, Springfield College, who were also coaches, and some of them did a lot of work on that, on visualization. Time out.
He's all sweaty now.
Right there.
Dude, I didn't know you went to
home run. Grandparents are here. Yes.
Dude, I didn't know you went to Springfield.
Yeah, I went there for a year and a half. Awesome. Bros.
That's awesome. I had no idea.
So,
Central Connecticut, what a loser.
So, but I had some really good coaches who worked with
Hello.
who worked with us with visualization in our classes, and that's kind of like where. Really
Who was the coach, if you remember?
I don't. The one of the ones that had the biggest impact on me was the volleyball coach at Springfield, the female volleyball coach.
Oh, okay. I thought it was Charlie.
Yeah,
Sullivan.
the female volleyball coach. He was awesome. I thought the way he coached and the way he worked people. One of the biggest impacts I had though at Springfield was when I met Dean Smith. You guys know Dean Smith?
Well, I don't know him, but that's
Who's that?
Basketball coach in North Carolina.
Yeah,
one of the greatest
legendary
basketball.
I don't follow.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like he was Michael Jordan's coach, James Worthy. Like he is.
Oh, so pretty good guys.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. He's out of control. So he came to Springfield for the
are
Hall of
those
Fame.
CrossFitters?
What's their frame time? $8 billion.
Yeah. Doesn't matter.
So he was at Springfield College, and I was shooting free throws, and he walks up to me, and I kind of like, I'm starstruck. It's like Dean Smith. And I'm like, shit. I just missed the free throw too. And he looks at
You
me.
start shooting underhand.
Yeah,
He's like, what the
underhand.
fuck?
And he puts his hand out and goes, hey, how you doing? I'm Dean Smith. And I was like, and then he kind of started talking to me about shooting a free throw. So the first thing that went through my head was, oh my God, it's Dean Smith. Second thing that went through my mind was, here's one of the most legendary coaches of all time in any sport, right? He coached Jordan, championships, etc. Right? This dude walks up to me and first introduces himself to me with his full name, like I don't know who he is, and he starts kind of talking to me. I'm just some D3 punk shooting free throws, and the way he was coaching me with the free throw. So that was my second thing, and then the third thing was then I sat back and I listened to the way he coached me, and it was so simple. It was like not trying to break down positioning of the elbow or anything. It was just super simple, and it dealt with emotion, and I was like, and that was kind of my first real connection with coaching, the emotional side of it, and how when you're working with people, if you can get them to emotionally feel what you want them to do, it's going to have a better understanding for them, So I don't know how I just got on this tangent.
Well, we were talking about how you work with your athletes mentally for the games.
Yeah, so
I'm digging this. Springfield, you're in the James Naismith
You're in the zone.
arena.
So that,
I'm all in.
Okay, so you asked me about coaching and where I learned.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my first introduction to, I think, true coaching was the way he was talking to me. And that's the thing, I think, with lots of athletes, it's got to come down to emotion, whether it's their elite or it's just a normal person. You have to get them to connect and feel what you want them to do, and you have to keep it as simple as possible. So even if it's at the games or regionals or in class, we try and keep it as simple as possible, 1 or 2 words, and really have that emotional connection with it so you can kind of understand it more. And connect to them, because if they're not understanding what you're saying or what you want them to do, it's not their fault, it's your fault. You have to change the way you're coaching them. I think that's where some people get into trouble, is that they think they say a word and someone doesn't understand and they keep saying the word again. It's like, well, they're not knees out. Well, what do they know what the fucking knees out means, right?
Yeah.
You got to get them to connect with you, and that's one thing that we try to work on a lot in here, no matter who the athletes are, right? So, and that was my first approach to it. And learning from it was actually from Dean Smith at Springfield College, and the 5 seconds that he spoke to me, I was like, wow.
How about that, man? It took him just 5 seconds of him talking to you, and he just warped all this coaching.
And that's the difference between true influencers, right, and just everybody else.
For real.
It's they say as little as possible, and it just connects.
Yeah.
And everybody's gonna have a different personal influencer, but with what connects to them. But trying to get that as a coach, I think, is key, and trying to understand how you can influence and connect to different people is huge, right? Whether it's through the different ways of showing them, making them feel it, etc. But the more you can get in line with that and in tune with that for all different athletes, the more you can influence people, and the more you can kind of coach them better, right? And not just having your one steadfast, hard zone way.
Word. All right.
I think
Anything
that was
else,
the perfect
man?
ending.
That was a great ending right there. That's going to wrap it up for this episode, guys, with Coach Leydon and Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah.
Real quick, just go ahead, plug any social media website. Just go ahead, plug whatever you want.
You can follow me at drewrockamando.com.
That website got blacked out.
Gayforpay.com.
So Instagram is Jason Leydon. I'll post a lot of stuff on my personal Instagram, snippets of training or just kind of thoughts I have.
Yeah.
So that's there. We have our CrossFit Milford page. We have our CrossFit Milford Athletics page, which is more like our athletes. So we separate the gym and we separate our competitive CrossFitters or athletes.
Okay.
Or just kind of Facebook. I'm not really on Facebook a lot though, but
All right.
all the kids are doing it.
All the kids
do.
are doing it.
I don't do
Snapchat.
Snapchat. I don't really do Snapchat.
I don't either, man.
Silo's like Snapchatting 17 times in 5 minutes. She's all about Snapchat.
Just got the Snapchat record on the team.
She just Snapchatted us right now looking at her.
What a creep. We would never have her on the show.
But yeah, that's kind of like where I am.
Awesome.
Cool.
All right, well, thank you for joining us, guys. Jay, thank you for finally getting
Thank
on
you,
with us.
dude.
We appreciate it.
Guys, this was a blast. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to come down, setting up.
Dude, absolutely.
And, this is awesome. So
Dude,
thank
this
you guys.
was awesome
this
for
is
us.
great.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks.
Check
Sarah,
us out
thank
on
you.
all our social media. Yeah, thank you, Sarah. Check us out on all our social media. Strength Students Podcast, Instagram, Facebook. Give us a 5-star review on iTunes. Definitely on Stitcher and YouTube.
Hell yeah.
Peace out, yo.
Hell yeah.